with other Wi-Fi tribe members, two of our other
Wow.
friends that were from Lithuania that I met in Bolivia. And so we had a big group of 15 people. I think there were probably 8 countries represented between those people, and just
Wow.
it's such a unique experience to kind of be in that environment. And also, I went to a place that I would have normally had not even really thought about unless I had met these people in Wi-Fi tribe.
Wow. So that's a lot. Yeah, moving around Europe every week, that's a lot, especially when you're trying to work.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little that's not sustainable. And I at least I knew I was only going to be in Europe for 2 months, so I was trying to maximize my time. But
Hmm.
that is not the best strategy, especially while working. So I kind of know my limits now,
Yeah.
and I will definitely be doing more of the continued slow travel of a month at a time.
So where are you now?
I'm in Toronto visiting a friend. I haven't been
Okay.
there in a while, so I was just stopping over for 2 weeks before going home for a wedding in Chicago.
And then are you headed out again after that?
I am. I just booked. I booked a flight to Buenos Aires, so I'm going to stay in Argentina for about 7 weeks, and then go to Patagonia. And
Oh,
yeah, so I'm super excited. Patagonia is just like somewhere I wanted to go for a long time, and um, I don't
and
necessarily have
so
a bucket list, but
you don't have a bucket
I know
list.
it's yeah, it's funny. I have a little list in my head probably, but I don't necessarily have a one that I've written down or have a fully extended. For me, it's mainly about just I've seen so much, and will want to continue to see it. But it's I feel like being with the people makes more of the experience than
Oh,
a lot of the
absolutely.
locations. So um, at least for now, I'm kind of just going with a lot of places in Wi-Fi Tribe because I've had so many great experiences that I'm just gonna have a great time regardless.
So how many people are usually with the group within your group, your tribe group?
Um, so in each month, there's anywhere from like 10 to 20, 10 to 20. I think the average is
Okay.
like 15 to 20. Um, but they all have their pros and cons too with those as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had yeah, I had 9 in Colombia and then as many as I think 23 in Peru.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what was your favorite place that you've been to so far?
Um, that's really hard for me to answer. I feel like just because they've all been like
So
so
different.
different and different experiences and with like
Yeah.
different types of people.
So what was your prettiest destination? Let's start there.
Uh, wow. I did really love the Salt Flats because it was just like something I don't think I've ever seen anything like it of just this landscape of just white salt across for miles and miles, and that's all you can see. And there's other mountains, and then you go just a couple hours away, and then you're in a desert, and uh, it was just every single place we stopped was absolutely stunning.
Hmm. Was there one place where the people stood out to you as being super amazing, friendly, or
Uh, I feel like in both Lima and Medellin,
mm,
they both had some great people that were willing to. I mean, even in Colombia, I felt like some of the locals were very willing to like correct me with my Spanish and help me learn a little bit while
right?
speaking to them. So they were very welcoming.
Nice. So, one of the things we talked about on the plane was the fact that your parents weren't all that excited about you doing this? What are their thoughts now?
Yeah. It was funny because as soon as I told them I was going to Europe, um, they were a little concerned about me continuing to travel. And as soon as I said, "Oh, I might stop in Italy," they're like, "Oh, you should go," because we're going. um, no, but they still do question a little bit. I'm not really sure why. I think at least while I was in South America, they thought it was a little more dangerous than it actually is.
Right, right.
Um, there's certain areas everywhere that are going to be a little more dangerous than others, but I
Hmm.
never really felt um, unsafe anywhere I went.
Right. We talk about that here in Panama as well, because the only thing people know about Panama are the Panama Canal and then the drug wars of old. And I think that's the same mentality they have about Colombia. Living in this environment, you understand that it's kind of relative. It's kind of like bad parts of Chicago, good parts of Chicago.
Right,
Um,
absolutely.
there's there's no different. If people in Europe look at what they see on the news in Chicago, it's scarier than what we think about being in Colombia. you know, so it's definitely relative based on your experience and where how um, open you are to try new places. Because we have lots of friends that go to Colombia all the time and they've never had a problem. So that's good. But parents, tend to worry. We're gonna worry even if there's something to worry about or not. Especially when our kids are outside of our grasp in the event that we need to get to them in an emergency. It's always a little nerve wracking. Um, but they'll get used to it, and
Yeah.
they'll be looking for recommendations from you for where they can go. They
Yeah, and I think part of it too is we did travel a lot when we were younger, but they didn't really venture out too much outside of the US or
hmm
like Mexico. And
right.
so they never really saw I mean, they haven't even been to Europe and um,
And they're Italian.
and they're Italian. So
They need to go to Italy.
I think that would help with their thinking around it if they kind of took another trip like that.
Right. So, in closing, what are your thoughts about, if there's somebody out there thinking, or they've been daydreaming actually about doing something similar, what would be your suggestions for how they get started and whether they should do it or not?
Yeah. Um, I mean, if it's something that you want, you definitely should go for it and prioritize in your life and find a way to do it. I mean, for me, I think some of the things to look out for is making sure you have a job that's going to be flexible and allow you to work remotely.
Hmm.
And at least set the expectations too. I mean, I have um, they thought that South America internet might be sort of spotty, so
Sketchy. Hmm.
I ended up I would get data SIM cards so that I could always tether from my phone if the Wi-Fi were
You
to go
had
down.
to. Right.
So that was just sort of like some reassurances for them and making sure that everything was okay on that front. But then outside of that, it's a lot easier, and at least I felt it's a lot easier and more affordable than I thought it would be. Um, like with Wi-Fi Tribe, I am paying a little bit more for a premium for the community and what they do. But then if I were to go ahead and stay at an Airbnb in Colombia, I'd pay probably a third of the prices that I would in Chicago. Um,
Right.
So the thing is, at least like certain locations throughout the world, especially in like South America and Asia, you can live for less than what you're currently.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Right.
don't know.
And
Yeah.
and and what is the conversation you have with your employer? How do you start that conversation?
Um, for my current employer, I sort of set the expectation that like it's something that it's important to me, and this is why it's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it definitely helps, sort of, because my coworkers are great in general, and so they were very understanding. But I felt like, at least with my older company, because we got absorbed into a larger corporation. Uh, that certainly hurt, but it's not unheard of. I've seen plenty of people work for larger um, companies as well throughout Wi-Fi tribes. So um, just sort of talking through it with your boss and manager, and going through their concerns will help quite a
Right.
bit.
Right. Because time difference is usually the biggest deal, right?
Yeah, and so I feel like that's definitely what it was for my old company. And that's why I was pitching the idea of, I wanted to go to South America anyway, but so I was like, I'll go to South America first, make sure everything with me working remotely in another country is fine first, and then sort of from there we can talk about potentially going to Europe later on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Depending on the team environment, I do think it can be tough. Like for my team, it would be tough for me to be in Asia because I do need to be on calls here and there. But for the most part, anywhere west of Europe, I can work pretty
You're good.
confidently now. Yeah.
Well, this is exciting. I thought that was, when we started talking on the plane, I thought it was so cool. And the fact that there's organizations out there like Wi-Fi Tribe that can actually take the logistic piece away from you so that you don't have to worry about anything but just getting to the next place makes it very, very convenient. And I think that's just the coolest thing. That's just cool. If I was younger, I'd find a way to be somebody that could work remotely from all over the world. I guess I'm one of those people, huh? Because I work, I work from all over the world.
Yeah, I
But
can't. Yeah, I just smiling thinking about it.
and so you literally don't have a place on your bucket list. This was your bucket list, so you're living your bucket list.
Yeah,
You're
I'm living my bucket list. I think. I mean, for now, it's for sure. Like, Patagonia was the one thing for me, that I've wanted to go to probably the most of anywhere.
hmm
And then I haven't been really anywhere. So I haven't been outside of Europe and South America and the U.S., or outside North America. So I think for me is eventually getting over to Asia, but that won't be with my current company. So that would be probably years down the road.
right.
But I know I'll do that. And if it's important enough to me, I'll make sure it happens.
Yes, you will. I have no doubt. Well, I really appreciate you. We kept going back and forth trying to make this work between your travels and my sickness, and I think we got it all together. But I do appreciate you, and hopefully one day we'll catch up again, and I'll find out what new adventures you've been on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to do this.
That's cool. Well, this is Karen Duncan, your bucket list buster. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back in a minute.
We're a generation of beach-loving, fun-binging vacationers.
That's right, my generation.
That's why Beaches Resorts is #1 for Generation Everyone. With the best water parks in the Caribbean and more land and water sports than anyone, including unlimited scuba. Plus Sesame Street characters for the kids and up to 21 fabulous restaurants for everyone, all included